solutions for livelihoods, realizing the market and impact potential. I welcome on stage Mr. Abhishek Jain, Fellow and Director, Powering Livelihoods, Council on Energy, Environment and Water, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm Abhishek Jain from the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Many of you may not have heard about the organization. So we are a leading policy research think tank based here in Delhi, but working actively across 15 states across the country, trying to mainstream really climate action, sustainable development around the nooks and corners of this country. I welcome you all to this session. First of all, thank you for taking the time out on a Friday morning. So a warm welcome on a chilly morning, otherwise. So we are talking about climate resilient livelihoods in this session. And why climate resilient livelihoods? Many of you would have come across several data, facts, figures when it comes to climate change. It is not something which is untouched when it comes to our even day-to-day lives. But I just wanted to put a few things into perspective while we are talking about livelihoods, sustainable livelihoods, resilient livelihoods, why it matters to start looking at some of these things. Of course, we know that a large part of our rural India still depends on agriculture as their one of the sources of income, if not really the primary source of income. And agriculture is certainly under a significant threat of climate change, be it rising temperatures, greater droughts, more frequent floods. In fact, one of the study by IFPRI, the International Food Policy Research Organization Institute, states that by 2100, there is a likelihood that 30% of India's food production would be under the risk of climate change. Now, that 30% number seems too distant because we are talking about 2100. But guess what? Last year, the wheat production in this country already dwindled because of climate change. The early onset of heat in March last year led to a decline in wheat production on average anywhere between 10 to 15%, and in some districts as much as 35%. So climate change is not really that distant as we often think it is. And that is where there are similar examples even beyond agriculture. If you look at fisheries, between 1990s and today, there is 5% decline in the fishery catch across the coastal areas in the country, which is primarily attributed to climate change. Not decline because of other reasons, but just because of climate change. Similarly, if you look at tourism across the country, just in the last decade, we lost about $7 billion in the tourism industry because of climate change. So several tour guides across the country are suffering as a result. And when we think about more direct impact, think about street vendors who are out there in the sun day to evening. The death rates, the mortality rate because of the heat strokes has increased in the last decade by 25%. So those are the kind of climate impacts that we are looking at, and what is it that we can do differently as we promote livelihoods, as we promote resilient incomes on the ground, so that these incomes can sustain themselves not just for the next 4, 5, or 10 years, but really for decades to come. And that's the conversation we are going to have. I might have painted quite a doom and gloom picture here, but the idea is not to really create a low mood, but the idea is to recognize what is happening. Either we can choose to ignore it, or we can embrace it and do things differently. So this session is about how can we do things differently, how can we act differently, and as we act forward, what is the hope that we can keep with us? Because hope, at least to me, is one thing that keeps me going. So let's start with a story of hope. Can I have the AV, please?
आज यहाँ पे 200 महिलाएं इकट्ठी हुई। ये महिलाएं अपनी आजीविका कैसे बढ़ानी है उसके बारे में आज उन्होंने समझा है, तो उनका प्रोत्साहन बढ़ता है। ये पावरिंग लाइवलीहुड वाले जो प्रोग्राम अरेंज करते हैं वो हर बार अरेंज करें ताकि महिलाएं और खुल के बाहर आए और सबको जाके बताएं। नमस्ते, मेरा नाम गायत्री सुथार है। मैं उदयपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट के झाड़ोल ब्लॉक से गोदड़ा गांव से हूँ। मेरी शादी गुजरात से राजस्थान में, वहाँ से शादी होके यहाँ पे आई, ना किसी को जानना ना पहचान। पहले जो काम कर रही थी मैं महिलाओं के साथ, सिलाई का काम करना, पार्लर का काम करना, आंगनवाड़ी में पोशार पहुंचाने का, यहाँ पे आके एकदम से बैठ गई थी। मेरी पढ़ाई कर रखी थी मैंने एमए, बट सारा वेस्ट था उस टाइम में। मैं मेरे समूह के माध्यम से, राजीविका के माध्यम से मैं मेरे घर से बाहर निकली। उसके बाद हमने सभी महिलाओं ने इकट्ठी होके, हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारी बकरियां थी, हमने तय किया कि हम सारा बकरियों का जो दूध होता है वो एक जगह पे इकट्ठा करेंगे। उसके बाद हम उसको, जो हमारे दूध सेंटर चलता है बागपुरा में, वहाँ पहुँचाएंगे। बट हमको बहुत सारी समस्याएं भी आती है, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पे लाइट की असुविधा रहती है, कटौती इतनी रहती है सुबह से शाम तक। वो दूध तो इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, वो फ्रिज में रख रहे हैं, तो लाइटें नहीं है तो ठंडा होता ही नहीं, और कम से कम 1-1.5 घंटा दूध को ठंडा करना पड़ता है, तब जाके बाहर बेच सकते हैं। तो दूध धीरे धीरे वापस बंद करने लगे, क्योंकि पैसा आता ही नहीं था। बट हम फिर वीओ की मीटिंग में गए, वहाँ पे हमारे सर आए, उन्होंने हमको डीडी सोलार के बारे में बताया। बिना लाइट के चलने वाली चीज है। तो हमने वो फ्रिज लिया और हम हमारे समूह में उस फ्रिज का यूज कर रहे हैं। इस फ्रिज की वजह से हमको जो बेनिफिट हो रहा है वो सारा हमारे समूह में रहता है। दूध जाता है, दूध का कलेक्शन करते हैं हम, दूसरी जगह पे हम बेचते हैं, और वापस वहाँ से टाइम से पैसा भी आ जाता है, और दूध फटने की कोई टेंशन नहीं होती।
ये बहुत अच्छी स्कीम है। कृपया ये सोलर रेफ्रिजरेटर जरूर लगाएं। दूध, दही, मक्खन, पनीर, लस्सी वो सारा स्टोर कर पाएंगे। आपको खराब होने की चिंता नहीं रहेगी, आपको बिजली के बिल की चिंता नहीं रहेगी।
At Powering Livelihoods, we identified value chains that employ a lot of women working in areas that face a lot of power supply challenges. As a next step, we wanted to inform the women about the ability of DRE livelihood technologies to improve their livelihood practices. Through hyperlocal events, we wanted to support clean energy technologies to reach women's doorstep directly without having to wait for them to discover it. At these events, women are provided product demonstration videos and information on subsidies and financing available to buy these products. Other women DRE users also come and share their experience to increase the buyer's confidence. We wanted to create avenues where women can touch, feel, and understand the product benefits better.
पावरिंग लाइवलीहुड वालों ने अपन को इतना सपोर्ट किया है, आज इतना बड़ा अपने लिए इन्होंने प्रोग्राम जो किया है, इनकी वजह से आज हमारी महिलाएं आजीविका की ओर बढ़ रही है। जो सब्सिडी मिल रही है उसका हमको पूरी तरह से फायदा लेना है। आज एक लिया है फ्रिज तो कल 2 लेंगी, 4 लेंगी, उस हिसाब से स्टेप बाय स्टेप बढ़ेंगे और अपना रोजगार और बढ़ाएंगे। मैं यही चाहती हूँ कि मैं जैसे आगे बढ़ी हूँ वैसे मेरी और भी महिलाएं आगे बढ़े।
I now welcome Divya Gaur from the Powering Livelihoods team to deliver the briefing presentation on the potential of clean energy technologies for rural livelihoods.
Thank you. We hope you liked the video. And this is an effort from our end to bring the narrative of clean energy for livelihoods to life through the stories of these end users. Good morning, everyone. I am Divya, working as a program associate at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. It's a fortunate morning to have the opportunity to present our work at Powering Livelihoods to the audience from across the country and beyond. So why clean energy for livelihoods? Before I go to the facts, I want to share my own personal experience. When I was introduced to the program and the sector, particularly on one of the first field visits, where I got to see these technologies in action, I had an expression of a thoroughly impressed person. And the internal dialogue went like, oh, I'm working on something so futuristic. So call it my lack of ignorance on the sector at that time, or that I saw a solar hydrophonic fodder unit deployed in the drought-prone district of Bikaner, which, to begin on impact, would reduce the travel time for women to fetch the fodder by at least an hour daily, was itself a promising and a futuristic scene at the moment. So it's been now 1.5 years that I've been in this space, and I'm here still excited each day with the possibilities that the sector has to offer. So, going to the facts, where Abhishek has already talked about some of the facts related to climate change, we'll be talking here about why clean energy for livelihoods. So apart from declining trend in uptake of agricultural activities in the rural areas, according to the National Statistics Office, to 2019 data, there has been only an increase of 21% increase in income in real terms, which was coupled by the rising debt of the debt rose by 57%. And this has been further worsened by the pandemic with rising input cost and added disguised unemployment in the sector. Coming to the ownership of pumps, there are about 120 million farmers in the country, of which half of them are dependent on rain-fed agriculture only. And of the ones who own the pump, 10 million own diesel pumps, which adds to the carbon footprint and also the cost given the volatility that is there in the price of diesel and kerosene. Moving ahead, about 119 million farmers and 4.3 million enterprises in the country remain constrained by the unreliable electricity, thereby affecting their productivity and income. Another stat that is important to bring to light when we speak of declining agri-income is the amount of produce that goes to waste due to absence of adequate infrastructure to store the produce at the grassroots level. The number is 15% of the perishables are wasted because of the absence of this infrastructure. So, I mean, while this set of information paints a very gloomy state of agri and allied activities in the country, now let's try and imagine the contrary, a positive one this time. Now imagine if there could be ways to increase the income and productivity of the farmers. Imagine if there could be diesel-free farming or reduced dependency of diesel for the farming. Imagine if we could realize the income foregone by eliminating the waste, in fact creating more valuable products, thereby helping our farmers earn more income. This is the scenario that we set out to build in rural areas through the inception of Powering Livelihoods program. So excited by the idea, we started with doing what we know the best. We gathered the data, dig into numbers, and as per our market potential estimates, the clean energy innovations have a market worth 4 lakh crore INR and has a potential to impact more than 3 million livelihoods. These technologies are effective in increasing income and reducing drudgery, especially in rural micro enterprises, where when the mechanization is enabled through reliable sources of energy, can be effective in increasing the income and reducing drudgery. These technologies can also be effective in unlocking value addition, especially from processing, drying, so on and so forth. They definitely reduce the reliance on diesel and conventional fuels. Further, most of these technologies, as per our analysis, have found to be more economically lucrative over their traditional counterparts. Further, these technologies, given that they are decentralized in nature, are effective in remote settings, especially technologies like portable irrigation pumps, cold storages at the farm gate, or truck mount refrigerators. And so, a multi-million-dollar initiative was launched in 2020 with the mission to mainstream clean energy livelihood technologies by bringing a market transformation. So we set out to identify the innovations which are field tested and have the potential to impact livelihoods at scale. And these are some of the technologies that we are working with at Powering Livelihoods. So we have solar powered cold storages, biomass powered cold storage, multi-purpose fruit processor, solar DC refrigerator, solar powered silk reeling machine, solar powered charkas, micro solar pump, sabji cooler, solar dryers, hydroponic fodder unit, solar powered smart animal deterrent. You will also find 3 of these technologies: solar dryers, multi-purpose food processor, and silk reeling machine displayed in the lobby, which you can check out post this session. So what has been our impact so far? Since its launch in June 2020, we've been able to create 17,000 plus livelihoods, where 72% are women end users. We've been able to enable technology deployments, 10,000 plus technology deployments. We have also enabled our enterprises to unlock 8 commercial funding deals. By working with the enterprises and providing them technical assistance, we've been able to increase their revenue cumulatively by 2.7 times. At the sectoral level, about USD 1.1 capital has flowed in by the program enterprises. We've also been working closely with MNRE to bring in the policy framework, the first in the world on DRE for livelihoods. So how are we making this happen? We are working with a twofold approach, helping the enterprises grow and leveraging their growth to build the sectoral momentum. We are providing capital support, technical assistance, and sectoral support to these enterprises, and thereafter, by generating evidence and disseminating this evidence at the sectoral level to change the perception of these stakeholders, to unlock finance and enable investment opportunities in the sector, and as well as encourage new innovations to come in the space. Throughout the program, there has been an explicit focus on gender inclusion with a dedicated team to work on this. Yeah. So we've been informing our way to scale the adoption of these technologies. We have been identifying the potential of each of these technologies district by district through our market research efforts. These are some of the reports that have been published in recent times, and you can find more about these on our website. Additionally, we've also been analyzing the viability of these technology by technology to inform our financials and ease out the availability of affordable end-user financing. To accelerate the adoption of technologies at scale, we partnered with the State Rural Livelihoods Mission as well. And we started off with partnering with UP State Rural Livelihood Mission and Bihar Jivika State Livelihood Mission. Why? Because particularly because of their size. So UP has a potential of targeting 70,000 plus women, and in Bihar we had a potential of targeting 1.25 lakh plus women. The objective is to deploy 2,000 plus technologies in both the states, and additionally engage about 600 plus women entrepreneurs in promotion, in demonstration, installation, and services of the products. Working with the enterprises, we also realized that there are constraints to reaching out to the last mile end users, potential end users. So we partnered with the organizations that are already working in the space as last mile distributors. They are distributing consumer products or productive use assets in the rural areas. So we partnered with these organizations. We've also organized hyperlocal events to create awareness among the potential end users about these technologies and accelerate the adoption at the grassroots. Within PL, we've also been working with innovative ways to reach out to the masses and also provide platforms to our end users to share their experiences at national and subnational levels. So we partnered with social media influencers. One such influencer is Farming Leader, where we recorded the video for one of our technology solar dryers. And through the video, we could help the enterprise garner 6 lakh plus views, and some 600 queries came in just because of the video, giving them a good traction. Further, we invited our end user, Meera Jat in this picture, from Rajasthan to travel all the way to Kochi and share her experience on using a solar DC refrigerator, which was also showed in the video. And she is also the member of one of the Mahila producer company based out of Rajasthan, working in milk sector itself. We've also, like I mentioned, we've also been organizing hyperlocal events. We've been reaching out to these end users through these events, where the enterprises display the technology, they demonstrate the technology for the end users to understand how they work. Through these events, we've been able to reach to more than 1,200 end users so far in Karnataka, UP, and Bihar collectively, of which 1,000 plus have been women. We are also working towards unlocking end user financing, because one of the objectives of the program is to help the enterprises scale up these technology and commercialize them as well. So we have leveraged program funds to unlock commercial capital for our enterprises. We are working with different financial instruments like first loan default guarantee, interest subvention, to mitigate the risk for the end user financiers. We partnered with Ashwa Finance, Sammanati, and Sangamitra, and through these partnerships, we've been able to unlock 50 plus individual loans and 10 plus loans to FPOs. Given the focus of the program on mainstreaming women in clean energy for livelihoods, we have also taken, we have also created gender-forward strategies for the enterprises and also for engaging the end users. So some of the initiatives that we have taken are gender sensitization trainings. We have done a needs assessment with our enterprises to understand where are the gaps in bringing the gender balance within their team. We've also done an exercise of gender goal and budget setting with the enterprises. Further, on ground, we are working towards strengthening backward and forward linkages. One such example is that we've helped one of our enterprises, which Upasana spoke about, Resham Sutra, to set up cocoon banks. We've also partnered with end user financiers, as I highlighted in the previous slide, Ashwa Finance, Sangamitra, and Sammanati, to unlock the financing for women, which is collateral-free and low interest. We've also created women demo champions to create awareness about technologies and generate leads for the enterprises on ground. So, as a part of the initiative, because we've been working on it since 2020, and we also wanted to understand what has been the socio-economic impact of these technologies on the end users. So we are doing this impact assessment research, and we recently concluded phase 1 of this research, where we surveyed about 767 end users of these technologies across India to understand how they have been impacting their income and also the social indicators. So our early findings suggest that most of the end users, about 70% of the end users of these technologies, have experienced an increase in income, both among male and female. In terms of the income increase of the end users who experience an increase in income, there has been an annual median increase of 25,000 for female and 30,000 for males. Most of this income increase is associated with improvement in productivity, with savings in on diesel or savings on electricity. Of these end users, there are about 13% of females who are first-time earners, and they are now making a median annual income of INR 36,000. To understand the social impact among the end users, we asked them some perception-based questions on how their confidence to buy assets and save money has improved or changed, or their ability to earn and work has changed. So majority of the end users, both in case of male and female, have experienced an improvement in their confidence to earn, to work. Among females, there has been an increase in participation in public events. Having a source of income has improved their confidence with respect to decision making. And 92% of women also said that there has been an increase in knowledge and skills that they have learned through operating these technologies. Also, just sharing my ground experience where I've been on ground and spoken to these end users. So while we were speaking to silk reeling machine end users, these women have got the source of income and employment near their homes. And earlier in these areas, the practice of thigh reeling was very prominent. Now, what has happened that with the mechanization, with the machines coming in for silk reeling, the upper caste women have also come in and taken up employment in the sector, where this profession earlier were mostly associated with low income, lower caste groups or marginalized caste groups. In case of micro water solar pump, what we saw on ground was that these women were earlier engaged in just procurement of taking up traditional methods of procuring water or just looking at the crop. But now their role is changing on the farms as well. They are now able to take up irrigation. They are not, their husbands do not have to stay up on farm all day. They are able to easily port the pump, use it, and able to irrigate the farm, thus changing their role as well. In some cases in Odisha, Kyonjhar district, we also found out that some men have left petty jobs to concentrate on farming and earn better income through the access of these pumps. So what have been the learnings from our journey so far in last 3 years? So what we realized is that engagement across the ecosystem is very crucial. For these technologies to be successful, we need to collaborate across the ecosystem throughout the value chains to enable a source of sustainable income for the rural end users. Women definitely benefit from these technologies. It increases the scope of at-home income earning opportunities, as well as the portability of the design gives them higher agency and also gives them an opportunity to take up these economic activities, and also reduces their drudgery and time poverty. But we also realize that these technologies, they need more awareness among the end users, among the ecosystem players as well. There is a need for us to unlock end user financing. We need to create more awareness and confidence among the financiers to be able to provide and unlock affordable financing for the end users, to also make these technologies commercial, as the concern that was raised by Upasna earlier. So with this, I hope we've been able to move the needle a bit towards transforming rural livelihoods and giving you a perspective on the innovative technologies out there for the rural India. We are working with the vision to make DRE and energy efficiency integral to the productive use applications in the rural areas. However, the sector is still at a nascent age and building its ground, and therefore is demanding stronger collaborations and partnerships to create a thriving ecosystem to unleash the full potential of these technologies, thereby bringing a wave of sustainable micro-entrepreneurship in the rural India and actualizing the idea of self-sufficiency. So before coming to the stage, I was told that this presentation should be able to convince most of you to talk about DRE technologies for livelihoods and lead to rapid networking post this session. So I'm hoping that our team will have a busy 15 minutes post this session answering your queries and discussing ways to collaborate and partner with you on this idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Divya, for the presentation and highlighting some key points. And I do hope that your team has a very busy 15 minutes post the session. It's my privilege to welcome on stage our distinguished guest, Charanjit Singh, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, to deliver the keynote address. Sir, please come on stage.
First of all, thanks to CEW and Wilgrow for giving me this opportunity to speak on a very important topic, which is very close to my heart. But before I dive into the topic, I will just want to mention one thing which was stated by Divya just before the speaker before me. That is about the social media influencers. I feel they are very critical and they can play a very great role in whatever we want to do. I will just give you one anecdote to make the things interesting. We organized this food festival in Connaught Place in Delhi. And we called the SHG women from different corners of the country. And we felt that publicizing these things through the newspaper, etc., is not going to serve the purpose. So why spend so much money on publicity in the newspaper? So why don't we call some of the social media influencers? And we called them. And the response was such a massive that the things became unmanageable on Sunday. We had to call the police also, and even then the food was over, but we couldn't serve all the customer. So such is their influence. So they can play a very critical role. So I feel that we need to utilize these new generation of social media influencers. And some of them were just 18 or 19 years old only, but the way they conduct their proceedings, it was really appreciable. So I will just now delve into the topic. I appreciate that this climate change is a very critical thing, and as has been stated by earlier speakers also, the agriculture production, the impact on the environment or the other livelihood activities, it's really a big challenge for us and we need to address this challenge. So how do we address this challenge? I feel that the social capital created by the NRLM provides a great platform for that. Why? I feel that if we want to address big challenges, then community participation is very, very important. If community owns something, then the solution lies there only, and that will be a sustainable solution also. And why do I say that? I will just give you one more example. Like we are celebrating this year of International Year of Millets. So it's a very good thing that millets are very good for the environment because they take less water and they are tolerant of the extremities of the weather also. But why people left them? Because that is a critical question. Because there were certain issues. The issues were that you need to process the millets, only then you can take out the seed and then you can process it. So if we involve the community in that, if we develop such technologies that this can be processed very easily, one part is that, then we need to have such varieties which can give you comparable productions as of the wheat and the rice. Only then the people are going to take it up. These theoretical discussions are very good that we need to do that. So if the community is involved in such things, then these are adopted very well. This is the one part. And then as the society is changing, their demands are also changing. Now the people don't want only these staple foods only. They want muffin, they want the energy bars, this young generation, they love such things. Then different type of breads are there, then different types of, like they are making dosas also out of this millets. So if we popularize such things and if we involve the community in this thing, then there will be a great market also, and then people will produce also. So you need to address all these things, and you need to involve the community, the innovators, the startups who are working in this field. only then we can be successful in this direction. So that is my second point I wanted to stress. And my third point is that now I'm taking the things from here only, that is the community. The NRLM is providing a big platform. As I mentioned in the morning also, that we are working with 8.75 crore households, and there are 81 lakh SHGs. But this is one part. But who is providing them services on a 24/7 in their village setting? There we have got these community resource persons, those who have been picked up from the community itself, and then they have been trained in particular sectors. Like we have got Krishi Sakhis, Pashu Sakhis, Madhu Sakhis, Matsya Sakhis, because we have trained them in particular sections. Like this Krishi Sakhis, we have got around 70,000 Krishi Sakhis who are community resource persons related to agriculture. We have trained them into specifics of agriculture, that what type of agroecological practices they need to take, like how they can reduce the input cost, how they can ensure the sustainable agriculture, how their productivity can be taken care of. So these are our soldiers who are working with the community 24/7. So I think they can play a very critical role in whatever interventions we propose, and we train them also continuously. So that I feel is a very important interventions which need to be taken care of. And the next thing I wanted to mention is that as we know that climate change is upon us and we can't deny it. You can see everywhere. So what do? I feel that we should have at least 3-4 livelihoods at the household level. Because if one livelihood is impacted, then other livelihood should save that poor household. So like if your agriculture is impacted, then you have got the livestock. So you can sustain your life from the livestock. Or some kirana store is there, or you may be doing any enterprise there. So 3-4 livelihoods are, I feel, very critical for each household. And so we need to work in that direction. And the next thing I feel is the solutions should come from the community only. मैं कोई इतना knowledge नहीं हूँ यहाँ जो आप लोग बैठे हैं कि आप we can tell them what to do. So why don't we let the community tell us that what do they want? No doubt we should guide them कि ये आपके पास option available हैं, but you select the option which is best suited to you. So we are working in that direction also. Like Belwal sir mentioned in the morning that we want them to be lakpati. लेकिन lakpati कैसे बने? So what we are doing is that we are focusing on 100 resource districts in the country. We have prepared their district livelihood potential mapping from the data available at the district level. Because there is so much data available at the district level. वहाँ पर एग्रीकल्चर का डाटा है, लाइव स्टॉक का डाटा है, इंडस्ट्री का डाटा है, हॉर्टिकल्चर का डाटा है. So much data is available. So we have compiled that data and prepared a district livelihood potential mapping. उसमें ये बताता है कि यहाँ पर हॉर्टिकल्चर एक्टिविटीज ली जा सकती हैं, यहाँ पर गुआवा का काम किया जा सकता है, या यहाँ पर फिशरी का काम किया जा सकता है, यहाँ पोल्ट्री कर सकते हैं, पिगरी कर सकते हैं, डकरी कर, मतलब वट एवर दे में देर, ये सब चीजें वहाँ पर available हैं in that particular district. So that district livelihood potential mapping is shared with the village community. That may be village organization or SHGs or cluster level federation. Then we prepared a village VPRP, Village Poverty Reduction Plan. That is prepared in consultation with the community. We tell them these are the things available. You can take it up. Then the community tells itself that each household tells कि मेरे को ये काम करना है. I want to do the poultry or I want to do the kirana out of the activities which we have been shared, or they can go beyond that also if they feel. And then this VPRP we take up to the Gram Panchayat. Then we make it a part of the GPDP. That is the Gram Panchayat Development Plan. So now all the departments know that they can, they have got a ready-made solution कि इतने गांव में रोड बनना है, इतने गांव में कहते poultry activities needs to be taken up, or the different type of activities, so they can take up these type of activities in that particular area. I am happy to share that what has been the impact of this, and we just started it only 1 year back, and the impact has started coming very well. As you know that the Ministry of Home Affairs is working in certain particular districts where the left-wing extremism is in force. So they are providing around 30 crores to each district. So when they saw this village poverty reduction plan, GPDP, and district livelihood potential maps, they said we will take these activities only and we will fund those activities. So now we have got such a strong amount of funds from the other departments also, those who want to work in that, on those particular activities only. So I feel that if we do the structured interventions like that, then we can make a strong difference. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the value addition, like someone mentioned also. I feel that value addition is also very important, because some of the, like, it was mentioned that 15% of the produce is lost in the post-harvest losses also. So if we make the value addition, that also creates a lot of difference. Few days back, I was in Hyderabad. You know this custard apple, or Sharifa, or Sitafal, it is called by different names. ये बहुत जल्दी खराब होता है. It is available only for 2-3 days, and if it is consumed, it's all right. नहीं तो आपको सारा का सारा फेंकना ही पड़ेगा जाए. So what do have they are taking that, क्या कहना चाहिए उसको, अंदर से जूस तो नहीं कहेंगे, the pulp. So they are taking the pulp out of that custard apple, then they are storing in the freezer, and they are supplying it to the big ice cream companies. So now they have found the solution also, and now they are getting a good amount of rate also out of that. So these type of solutions we need to work upon. As you know, I was very happy to see that they shared so many technological innovation, like solar dryer is there, cold storage is there. So I feel that we need to work on this. Then we can make a whole lot of difference. And so the issues which are upon us of the climate change, only then we can address them. And as I mentioned earlier also, we need to work as a whole of the government and a whole of the society approach. Only then we can make a difference. Thank you very much.
Just wanted to give a small token of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Charanjit Singh, for your insightful keynote. I would now like to call upon stage Ms. Mausami Kabiraj from the Powering Livelihoods team to lead a Q&A session with the end users.
Parul, good morning everyone. I hope the video and the comprehensive presentation by Ms. Kaur would have given you some insights on how these new and innovative dairy technologies is shifting and going beyond its conventional uses like lighting to creating jobs and livelihood at the local level. At this session, we aim to bring forth the perspective of the end users who are using these clean energy technologies and understand the potential these products can have in impacting their lives and livelihoods. I am Mausami Kabiraj from CEW and moderator for this session. Let's hear the voices from the ground. आज हमारे साथ इस मंच पे पावरिंग लाइवलीहुड्स के 2 एंड यूजर्स जुड़े हुए हैं जो हमारे साथ इन क्लीन एनर्जी टेक्नोलॉजीज को इस्तेमाल करने का एक्सपीरियंस साझा करना चाहेंगे. परमीला जी और शिवराज जी, सबसे पहले मैं आप लोग दोनों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगी अपना कीमती समय निकाल के हमारे साथ इस मंच में जुड़ने के लिए. और मैं आप लोग दोनों से ये निवेदन करूँगी कि आप संक्षेप में ऑडियंस को अपना परिचय दें.
सभी को नमस्ते. मेरा नाम परमिला है. मैं बीकानेर ज़िले से बज्जू गांव से हूँ और हाइड्रोपोनिक का काम करती हूँ मैं, पशुपालन का. तो उसमें मैं हाइड्रोपोनिक शुरू किया है.
सभी को हमारा नमस्कार। हमारा नाम शिवराज निषाद है। हम कानपुर ज़िले के यूपी स्टेट से बिलोंग करते हैं। हमारा घर शेखपुर में पड़ता है और हम अभी काम कर रहे हैं ड्राई फ्लावर एंड हर्ब्स पे, और उसकी मदद से हम सोलर ड्राई की मदद से उसको हम ड्राई कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
So Parmila ji is from Rajasthan and is using hydroponic fodder making units, which is manufactured by Hydrogreens Enterprise. And Shivraj ji is using solar dryer units, which is being manufactured by Raheja Solar. जैसे कि परमिला जी और शिवराज जी आपने बताया कि आप इन सोलर टेक्नोलॉजीज़ का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, तो हम आपसे जानना चाहेंगे कि आपको अपनी आजीविका में ऐसे किन चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ रहा था जिससे कि आपको लगा कि ये जो सोलर टेक्नोलॉजीज़ है ये आपकी आजीविका में आपकी सहायता करेगी। और हम ये भी जानना चाहेंगे कि इन टेक्नोलॉजीज़ का इस्तेमाल करने के बाद आपकी आजीविका में और आपकी इनकम में किस तरीके का बदलाव आया। तो हम पहले परमिला जी से सुनना चाहेंगे।
हमको ये हाइड्रोपोनिक इसलिए शुरू करना पड़ा कि राजस्थान में कम बारिश होती है, बहुत ज़्यादा सूखा पड़ता है, तो वहाँ हरे चारे की बिल्कुल व्यवस्था नहीं होती है और सूखा चारा हमको वहाँ से खरीदना पड़ता है। तो बहुत सारी समस्याएं आई थी, इसलिए हमने ये हाइड्रोपोनिक शुरू किया और उसमें से हमको जो भी हरा चारा मिलता था वो हम गायों को देने के लिए उनको देते। तो उसमें से क्या है, हमको एक तो दूध की बढ़ोतरी हुई है और दूसरी चीज़ उसमें फैट SNF बढ़े हैं, जिसके वजह से हमारा दूध जो कम रेट में जाता था उसका रेट भी हमको ज़्यादा मिलने लग गया है। तो उससे हमें काफ़ी फ़ायदे हुए हैं। दूसरी चीज़ ये भी है कि हम लोग जो बाज़ार से खल चूरी वगैरह खरीदते थे उसके भी पैसे लगते थे, तो हाइड्रोपोनिक हरा चारा देने से मतलब वो भी हमने बंद कर दिया साथ में। और उससे क्या है, हम लोगों को बाहर से चारा खरीदने के लिए जाते तो पैसे भी लगते, और दूसरी चीज़ की महिलाएं जो गर्भवती होती है तो उनको बाहर से वो वज़न उठा के लाने में दिक्कत होती है। तो बहुत सारी समस्याएं हमारे सामने निकल के आई थी। तो मैं काफ़ी महिलाओं को इस प्रोजेक्ट से जोड़ा भी है और हमारे हाइड्रोपोनिक प्रोडक्शन एक लगा है जिसमें 16 मशीनें लगाई गई हैं। तो अभी मैंने वहाँ पे 2 महिलाओं को तैयार कर रखा है, तो वो महिलाएं उस पे काम करती है और जो पास में गायें होती हैं हम उसको भी उन लोगों तक भी पहुँचाते हैं। हमारी जो पूर्ति होने के बाद बाहर की महिलाओं को भी हम लोग देते हैं। तो मैंने शुरुआत हाइड्रोपोनिक से की थी। अभी मैं डेयरी में काम करती हूँ, जो हम लोग 200 किसानों से जुड़े हुए हैं, उनसे हम लोग दूध खरीदते हैं। तो उन महिलाओं तक भी मेरी पहुँच हुई है और मैं हाइड्रोपोनिक की वो मशीनें हैं तो काफ़ी पास में गांव है, 1-2 लोग बिजेरी है, बलूरी है, तो वहाँ पे भी हमने एक मशीन दी है। और वहाँ महिलाओं का निकलकर यही सवाल आया कि हम लोग इसको आगे से और भी हमको करनी है और इस तरीके से हमको हाइड्रोपोनिक आगे बढ़ाना है। तो अभी हम लोग जिस महिलाओं से दूध खरीद रहे हैं उस महिलाओं को जो हाइड्रोपोनिक दे रहे हैं तो वहाँ से दूध लेके आ रहे हैं, तो उन महिलाओं का दूध के अंदर फैट SNF बढ़ने से उनको फ़ायदा हुआ है और उनको पेमेंट भी अच्छा मिल रहा है। पहले उनका दूध जैसे 20-22 रुपये लीटर में जाता था, तो हम लोग 38 रुपये से उनसे खरीद रहे हैं। और अभी मैं उस डेयरी में काम करती हूँ और 200 महिलाओं से जो दूध खरीद रहे हैं उसको ये भी फ़ायदा दिलवाया था हमने। थैंक यू।
एक्चुअली हमने जैसे पहले ही बताया कि हम सूखी फ्लावर पे काम करते हैं, उनको फार्मर से कलेक्शन करते हैं फुल मॉर्निंग में, और अपना जो सोलर हमारा प्लांट लगा हुआ उसमें ड्राई करते हैं। एक्चुअली चैलेंजेस आता है हमारे समय जब हमारा फूल निकलता है, वो बारिश में सबसे ज़्यादा निकलता है। हमारा एक ब्लू पी होता है, अपराजिता से बोलते हैं, तो वो बारिश के सीज़न में सबसे ज़्यादा निकलता है। तो उसका क्या है कि मार्केट जो मंडी होती है कच्चे फूल की, वो जिस समय निकलता है उस समय फार्मर को नहीं मिल पाता है। तो जब मैं नहीं करता था ये काम, नहीं जुड़ा था इस सेगमेंट में, तो मैंने सोचा कि ये समस्या जो है कैसे सुलझाई जाए, ये किसानों की समस्या कैसे सुलझाई जाए, कैसे उनको पैसा दिया जाए अच्छा और उनकी जो आजीविका है वो सुधरे। तो मैंने अपना जो है ड्राई फ्लावर में काम करना शुरू किया। उसके बाद चैलेंजेस आए मुझे ड्राई करने का, क्योंकि फूल होता है वो डेली निकलता है, डेली मॉर्निंग में आपको प्लकिंग करनी पड़ती है मॉर्निंग में, और उतना ही निकलता है जितना कि जैसे हमारा 10 kg हमारा पहले दिन निकला तो 10 kg ही दूसरे दिन निकलेगा। ऐसे नहीं कि वो दूसरे दिन ये क्वांटिटी कम हो जाए ज़्यादा हो जाए। हाँ, वो एक पार्टिकुलर सीजन होता है कि वो चेंजेस होता है, लेकिन वो डेली निकलता है, डेली आपको तोड़ना पड़ता है। तो अभी क्या है कि चैलेंजेस हमारे सामने आ कि बारिश का, कि बारिश में सुखाएं कैसे। तो हमने रहजा सोलर के बारे में सुना था कि रहजा एक सोलर होता है, वो सोलर प्लांट सोलर से चलता है, कोई इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम नहीं होती है। तो वो मैंने परचेज किया पहले 20 केजी का इनिशियली वो ट्रायल के लिए। तो मैंने देखा कि हाँ हमारा रिस्पांस पॉजिटिव आ रहा है, तो मैंने उसको 60 केजी पे कन्वर्ट कर लिया। अभी मेरे पास 60 केजी है और 20 केजी दोनों है। तो अभी क्या है कि उसमें हमारी जो क्वालिटी होती है फूड की, हमारे फ्लावर की, वो फूड ग्रेड होती है और डस्ट फ्री होती है, उसमें कोई भी धूल कण नहीं होता है। वो हम एज यूज़ करते हैं हर्बल टी में। आपने सुना होगा ब्लू टी के नाम से हमारी एक टी आती है, वो ब्लू टी में यूज़ की जाती है। बहुत सारे फ्लावर हमारे पास हैं, जैसे रोज़ टी हुआ, रोज़ फ्लावर हुआ, जैस्मिन फ्लावर हुआ, ये सब हम सेगमेंट करते हैं, उसी में काम करते हैं, ड्राई करते हैं उसी हमारे सोलर प्लांट में। और अभी क्या कि जो हमारे जो किसान हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, करीब 4 से 500 किसान हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं हमारे आसपास के एरिया से, जो पार्टिकुलरली काम करते हैं। उनका पुश्तैनी काम है फूल का ही हमारी साइड। तो अभी क्या है कि उनका सारा फूल हम कलेक्शन कर लेते हैं, उनको सही मार्केट में नहीं मिलता है प्राइस, तो हम कलेक्शन कर लेते हैं, उनको अच्छा पैसा देते थे मार्केट से अच्छा, और अपने यहाँ पे सोलर प्लांट में हम ड्राई कर लेते हैं। तो उनकी भी जीविका बढ़ी है हमारे साथ साथ, और उनका भी जीवन यापन सुधरा हुआ है। थैंक यू सर।
परमीला जी, जैसे कि आपने बताया कि हाइड्रोपोनिक चारा बनाने की मशीन से जो गायों के द्वारा जो दूध मिलती है, उसमें गुणवत्ता और मात्रा, क्वांटिटी एंड क्वालिटी दोनों ही बढ़ी है। तो आपको क्या लगता है ये जो मशीन है भारत में जो अन्य महिलाएं हैं उनकी कैसी सहायता करेगी और उन्हें कैसे सशक्त बनाएगी?
उनकी भी यही सहायता करेगी कि जो महिलाएं मतलब गर्भवती होती हैं, उनके लिए चारा लाने के लिए दिक्कत होती है, तो वो एकदम एक तो कम समय के अंदर कर पाएगी, और उन महिलाओं के लिए ये फ़ायदा होगा कि जिनको दूध फैट कम मिलता है, जिनको पैसे कम मिलते हैं, तो उनके लिए वो फ़ायदा होगा उस मशीन से, और वो घर पे भी अपना कम समय के अंदर कर सकती है और अपने बच्चों का पालन पोषण अच्छी तरीके से कर सकती है।
बिल्कुल परमीला जी, हम ज़रूर चाहेंगे कि हमारी जो बाकी बहनें हैं वो आपकी तरह सशक्त बने और उन्हें भी आजीविका में जोड़ने का अवसर प्राप्त हो। मेरा आखिरी सवाल शिवराज जी से होगा कि अगर आपको अपनी बाकी किसान भाइयों और बहनों को सोलर ड्रायर की खासियत को एक पंक्ति में बताना हो तो आप उनसे क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
जैसा कि हमने बताया अभी कि हम ड्राई फ्लावर में काम करते हैं, तो हम किसानों से कलेक्शन करते हैं। उसमें कलेक्शन 2 मेथड से करते हैं, एक तो सूखे फूल होते हैं उनका, और दूसरा होता है कि फ्रेश वाला। तो हम उनसे जो हमारे साथ जो किसान जुड़े हुए हैं, जो सूखे फूल देते हैं, हम उनको एज ए 20 केजी इनिशियली उनको सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं कि हाँ भाई, प्रोत्साहित कर सकते हैं हाँ कि ये आप लीजिए हमारा 20 केजी का जो सोलर ड्रायर है, इस पर ड्राई करिए। आप हमें फ्रेश नहीं देते, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, आप ड्राई करके इसमें दीजिए। तो ये उनके क्या कि जो डेली का आना जाना हो सकता है कि बहुत दूर से किसान आ रहा है, तो उसका डेली का आना जाना वो कम हो जाएगा और वो अपने दूसरे भी काम में ध्यान देगा। तो ऐसे कि उसको क्या डेली जो वर्क वर्डन है उसको हम कम कर सकते हैं और इजीली अपना प्रोडक्ट वो ड्राई कर सकता है अपने हिसाब से। तो उसको और जानकारी होगी सोलर ड्राई के लिए, वो और किसानों से जुड़ेगा और किसानों को प्रोत्साहित करेगा। थैंक यू मैम।
बिल्कुल, हम ज़रूर चाहेंगे कि आपकी ये बात भारत के सभी किसानों तक पहुँचे। Just summarizing the points which were mentioned by the end user, starting with the hydroponic fodder making unit. So, Parmila ji mentioned that this unit has supported in increasing the productivity and income by improving the quality and quantity of the milk produced by the cattle. And also, for the woman end user, it has helped cater the challenge of time poverty. Coming to the solar dryer, this has improved and decreased the post-harvest losses, improved the shelf life of the farm produce, and hence enhanced their income. So these are two examples or two such success stories we have. The key message we have from their experiences: dairy technologies have the power and the potential to unlock the livelihood in the rural communities and powering the rural micro enterprises. And I would echo, which we all hear and read in every conferences, that what we need now is the convergence of each and every stakeholders involved in the sector. Thank you. Thank you, Parmila ji. Thank you, Shivraj ji.
But let's limit the question to only one question right now. After the session, we can take up questions.
बस एक चीज़ जानना था, इसका दोनों का कॉस्ट क्या है और मेंटेनेंस क्या है, और आप किसी ग्रुप में लिया था कि इंडिविजुअल किसान ने लिया था? लागत बता दीजिए।
थैंक यू सर। एक्चुअली जो मैंने सोलर ड्रायर लिया था वो एज अ ग्रुप में नहीं लिया था, खुद परचेज किया था। वो मैंने रहेजा सोलर से परचेज किया था, जो कि इंदौर बेस में है। तो उसकी जो कॉस्टिंग आती है अप्रॉक्स, जो मैंने 2-3 साल पहले लिया था उसकी कॉस्टिंग अप्रॉक्स 40,000 थी 60 केजी की। अभी आई डोंट नो कितनी है उनकी। ये मैं अभी आपको, हो सकता है मैं अभी बाद में मिल जाऊंगा, नंबर शेयर कर दूंगा आपको। तो आई थिंक वो आपके लिए हेल्पफुल होगा। थैंक यू
ठीक है,
सर।
थैंक यू।
नमस्ते। हमको संस्था से मिली थी एक मतलब मशीन, उससे हमने आगे धीरे धीरे बढ़ाया और उसके बाद मतलब किसानों तक भी पहुंचाया है।
ये पूछने का मकसद था कि ज़्यादातर स्मॉल एंड मार्जिनल फार्मर्स है, सो वो अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, वही एक जानना था।
थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. Dhanyavad. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mausami, for facilitating an excellent session. Now, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists on stage, Mr. Abhishek Jain, Fellow Director, Powering Livelihoods CEW, Shobhit Srivastava, Scientist, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, Bishwaroop Banerjee, Program Manager, Renewable Energy, IKEA Foundation, Simi Serene, Director, Unitas Capital, Sharayu Kulkarni, Co-founder, RUCART. I now hand over the session to Mr. Abhishek Jain to take this forward.
All right, so we heard quite a bit over the last half an hour or so on what could be the forms in which climate resilient livelihoods can be promoted, can be sustained, can be grown on the ground. Now we have a pretty interesting set of panelists here on the panel. First of all, thank you to all of you to carve out your important time and be here with us. We have someone who is an entrepreneur who is manufacturing technologies and taking it to the masses. We have someone who is financing such technologies as a financier as well as investor, multiple hats over the time. We have policymakers who are trying to create a policy ecosystem to take these technologies forward. And we have philanthropic organizations and donors who are trying to support this very nascent ecosystem and create this ecosystem as we go forward. So let me kick it off with, let's actually start with the entrepreneurs themselves. We have Shurayu here. Shurayu runs a company which makes what they call sabji coolers. The name sort of gives it away what it is. But this technology, I would like to understand, like potentially there are tens of millions of sabji vendors in this country, vegetable vendors in this country. How do you think, I mean, first of all, how many you have already reached out to in your journey so far? But how do you think we can really take this technology to masses? What would be your ask of the room, so to say, if you have to take this forward? Shurayu, if you can.
Hi, this is Sharayu Kulkarni from RUCART Technologies. As asked by Abhishek, so currently we are doing, our organic marketing only. So we are connecting with NGOs, FPOs, FPCs, as well as financial institutions who are, helping them financial support to purchase the technology. So currently we are working in Solapur, Latur, Usmanabad districts of Maharashtra, where we are working with Swayam Shikshan Prayog NGO. So who are working already with the women farmers. So they are, supporting those women through the financing mechanism to purchase the sabzi cooler and use it.
Let me now turn your attention to, it's working, right? Yeah. Let me now turn the attention to a financier in the room who has been looking at these technologies over years. Simi, if you can tell us that why do you think these technologies are interesting, and what has been your own experience with these technologies and these solutions? Like, have you seen some impact? Have you seen some returns coming as an investor or as a financier when you're supporting these technologies?
Sure, Abhishek. I think to start off, you're right. I have looked at this from multiple perspectives, right? Uh, we have helped enterprises like Rukat and much larger raise capital. Uh, I also specifically, at this point of time, I'm working on a project that directly funds these assets. Uh, so, why are these interesting? I think they're not just interesting, they're necessary, right? Climate interventions, unlike the technology movement or everything else you've seen before, needs assets. You cannot solve for climate change without building solar, without building electric vehicles, and without building, uh, sustainable food systems or sustainable livelihoods. And that means that you have to build on-farm processing, you have to build solar dehydration, you have to build solar cold storages, you have to build solar pumps, everything that takes not just emissions away, but also make sure that livelihoods are protected. So these are necessary. So then the question is that if these are necessary and there are many smart entrepreneurs working on building those technologies, how do you make them both scalable and affordable? As many people pointed out before me, the beneficiaries or the users of these technologies are typically people who can't afford that cost upfront. Uh, can they afford that cost over a lifetime? The answer is yes. That's the only reason that technology should exist, right? So I think the two lens that I put on any technology we support as a financier is, can this pay for itself? Yes, subsidies are good when you are piloting new technologies, but at scale, either the savings or the additional income from that machinery, from that product, should justify owning the product, right? So if a woman farmer is adding a solar dehydrator, many of whom that we have funded, the income she makes over the next 2 or 3 years should be enough for them to essentially pay for that technology. Uh, and I think the other question is, yes, you can do that at 1,000 women level, but how do you do it at a million women level? How do you scale these technologies? And the only way to do that, in my mind, is to build ecosystems. So for example, we see multiple examples of products, machineries getting sold and then not being used because, again, taking the solar dehydrator example, if you are a woman in rural Maharashtra who owns that dehydrator, but you can't find a market for the produce, then you're not going to use it. So the most successful scalable companies build full ecosystems. They build ecosystems on how the produce, fruits and vegetables get to these women, how the dehydrated product gets sold, and how the income comes in these women's hand. So unless you can link your product, your machinery to income or savings, you can't scale it. I think once you solve for that, everything else, can you find the right funding? Can you get a loan for it? All of that's solvable.
Great. Thank you, Simi. I think that's really helpful. Like, unless the viability is there of the product itself, you'll not find really a market for it. Let me turn to Shobit, who is with MNRE and has been very closely working on the overall energy transition in this country. And India has embraced clean energy transition in a big way. But earlier last year, MNRE came up with a specific policy framework, the first of its kind anywhere in the world really, which focuses on promoting these decentralized renewable energy solutions for livelihoods. What do you see as the potential of these solutions as a policymaker contributing to these technologies?
Yeah, thank you. So, ministry and the government in general has been very sensitive to the use of decentralized renewable energy applications. Right, I would say from the initial days of development of the renewable energy in the country. So we used to have these household-based biogas manufacturing units, which a farmer or cattle holders can have it installed in their premises and use the gas for their various purposes they can use it for. So going from there now, when the solar mission came up in 2010, then the whole thing, the focus towards the decentralized solar applications also gained pace, and thereafter we had these 3 phases of solar PV program, which also supported livelihood applications. From there, we have learned that there is definitely a very strong need to have a framework which can support scaling up of these applications, so that you have a continuous system which feeds in, which provides the support to growing of or upscaling these applications. Meanwhile, we also came up with a PM Kusum scheme, though the size of the size of the livelihood or the investment that is needed is a bit higher on an average. Although we also have pumps of sizes 2 HP and below in the Ganges plains, particularly in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar. So it is also supporting the livelihood applications. So we had this thought in mind that we need to have a framework, a platform which provides the ecosystem for the livelihood applications to become a norm rather than 1 or 2 initiatives here and there. So with that in mind, we intended to bring out an ecosystem. So the framework largely it supports the various components that are needed to upscale the livelihood applications, DRE livelihood applications. So that it looks into the potential, how to assess the potential, where to target the government resources that are, I mean, one of the scarce resources, as we know. So that is one thing. Then the research and development and standardization. We don't want these applications to just, I mean, fizzle out because of the low quality and all those things. So we need to have standardization. Then financing, as we were talking about the financing, that is a very crucial part of it, the whole development story, because until and unless you provide financing to these marginal farmers or small householders, horticulturists, these things won't get much pace or much drive. So and the other parts are like capacity building and the public awareness part. So you need to tell people that this is something that they can use. I mean, most of the times the story doesn't reach to the last corner of the country. So that's why focusing on these basic components, we came up with a framework, and now we hope to have a support mechanism too, possibly if it gets approved in a few months. So that is something we are working on right now. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Shobit. And we do hope like it does get approved and we have some clear support coming from the government on these solutions. Let me actually follow up with you before I turn my attention to Biswaroop. We, of course, have several ministries and arms of the government of India which are trying to support livelihoods. Of course, National Rural Livelihood Mission, but then Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Ministry of Textile, and so on and so forth. And there is an element in the policy framework which talks about convergence. But what would be your expectation of the other ministries and even the larger stakeholders, let's say civil society organizations? How would you like them to come forward and engage with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy to take these solutions far and wide?
So we have been working with a number of ministries on DRE applications. So we were part of the steering committee on the food processing units. Then we were also involved in we as in MNRE was involved in the solar charkha mission by MSME ministry. So there have been bilateral sort of cooperation, and some of the ministries have project centric or the scheme centric cooperations in this direction. So of which DRE is one of the components in the whole story, because there are a number of other components which are more related to the work being managed by that particular ministry or the department. In the framework, we have come up with a committee, a standing committee kind of a thing, which will be there to look into the convergence aspects. So we want to have everything on one platform so that we don't miss out on opportunities for convergence. There are a number of schemes which are related to different ministries. I mean, like Jal Jeevan Mission though it is not directly related to livelihood, but that's something we are also looking at. Then Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is there. Then a number of initiatives by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare and the Health and Family Welfare. So we are trying to have a platform wherein all the ministries come up and they share their experience related to their scheme. So framework is not a scheme; it is a sort of a platform which provides these schemes to pool in their resources, so that we don't miss out on opportunities of providing a better deal to the end user. So that is why our objective in this, while formulating the framework, is that we don't miss out on convergence opportunities. So that is very much an important part of the whole framework. And once we go into the support mechanism, we also would try to have make use of the convergence as far as possible, to the best of our abilities. And we are already working on a project along with GIZ. We are working on convergence on opportunities in some of the states. Like, we have targeted the difficult ones, UTs of Ladakh and JNK, and then the more popular states like Haryana and Maharashtra too, so that we understand from the past, and then we try to delve into the maybe one of the difficult areas where it would be where it is mostly needed. You need convergence in the areas where you have the resources are scarce. So there we want to focus and understand what are the pain points, what are the difficult areas we need to discuss more or work out things more in those directions. So that is what we are working on, and we will try to make all the efforts to make convergences work, so that we are able to extend the maximum benefit possible to the end beneficiary. Thank you.
Thanks, Shubert. I think that's very encouraging to learn, actually, in many ways, that there is such an explicit focus on convergence. I mean, we typically blame governments for working in silos. So it's actually quite an encouraging example of how such a conscious effort is going in. And we also heard from a couple of past speakers, like, convergence is really something that government is very explicitly focusing on. Now, let me turn my attention to Biswaroop. Biswaroop, you represent one of the largest foundations in many ways, and also of one of the largest corporates globally, IKEA Foundation, right? Why did IKEA, and I know this because IKEA has been supporting this intersection of renewable energy and livelihoods for quite some time. So why a foundation like IKEA Foundation has betted big on DRE for livelihoods, so to say?
Okay. No, thank you very much for asking that question. So for the benefit of audience, maybe I'll quickly start with how the foundation and the business is organized, because IKEA Foundation is unique in a way because the foundation is the owner of the business, because that was the dream of the founder, to give back all the profits back to the society. So in fact, IKEA as a brand stands for the many people, and the foundation also stands for many people. So when we looked into what are the major issues probably the world is facing now, so everybody agrees it's the climate and livelihood, which are interconnected, right? When you look at many of the practices, climate is negatively impacting the livelihood, and also many of the existing livelihood practices are reinforcing and worsening the climate situation there. So these are the two major focus when we started off with, and then probably this hall, we have an audience full of people who are already working in the sector of livelihoods, and I don't need to re-emphasize the important role that the energy plays in improving livelihoods of people. We can't imagine anything without energy, right? So and there is a huge need for providing energy to underserved and unserved areas of this globe. So if you talk of Africa, India, so the numbers are quite it's more than 700 million people who are still without access to reliable energy. So that was one part of the problem, but fortunately we have solutions as well, because if you look into the technologies that has evolved over a period of time, we have more efficient technologies that are available and which consumes very low amount of power and can probably provide those kind of solutions that are required by people. So that was one of the things, and we identified, like, in particularly in the energy sector, as you are aware, because you have been majorly working in there. So the major focus was the lighting solution till quite some time back. But when you talk about energy, I think people and the present kind of problems that people are facing, people need energy security, people need water security, people need income security. All these are interconnected, and these doesn't stand in isolation. And looking at the market, when you have the available technologies, when you have the uh, efficiencies available, when the cost of solar and cost of, like, things have come down so rapidly, why can't probably decentralized solution work more effectively for people who are living in the underserved areas? So that is one reason. And there are, of course, you talked about the imminent climate crisis and the need for adaptation and resilience building. I think nothing could be better than the clean energy solutions. So you talk about, dwindling food production. People need, like, if you need farmers, smallholder farmers need water security. At the same time, you talk about food waste and loss. So there are solutions available, cooling solutions available, there are processing solutions available, which can solve these problems very effectively and efficiently. Uh, One more thing, critical thing that I would like to highlight, say, in your presentation itself, you talked about the potential of these DRE solutions impacting 4 crore Indian population, so, or women population. So imagine the kind of job generating potential it has, because even if you assume that, for any uh, for every 100 people there would be, like, 5 people, possibly you need to reach out with the solutions in manufacturing, sales, distribution, after sales, for these clean energy products and solutions. So it has a potential to create more than 1 crore job, which is green, and these jobs will be green jobs and new technology. So uh, you know I think the potential is enormous, if we really explore that.
Yeah. Thank you, Viswarup. Certainly, the potential is enormous, and there are entrepreneurs like Shurayu who are trying to chip away slowly onto that potential. But Shurayu, I had a slightly different question to ask you now. Uh, what we really see a dearth of, and I'm sort of consciously using that term, is women entrepreneurs in this space. You are really one of the few ones who we have seen in this space who are really trying to take over these challenges of bringing such sustainable livelihood solutions to the masses. Uh, what has been your own reasons to move into this space? And what would you say for many others who may want to follow some of your footsteps? If you can just take the mic, please.
So thank you, Abhishek. So when I was doing my engineering, so by the end of the third year, I came to know that the kind of jobs available at that time were, only software or, mainstream jobs, what we say, our society says. And anything this community is doing, promoting this decentralized renewable energy technologies and all, it was not, considering into that mainstream thing. Going to field visits, doing field activities, it wasn't a mainstream thing. So I didn't want to, go into that, what do you say, 9 to 6, I say, job. So I was actually looking for some, different kind of thing where, I can interact with people. I can travel to, remote places and see the villages and all. So I came to know about this IIT Bombay's technology and development course. So I got into that, and after finishing my MTech from IIT Bombay, so I worked on the renewable energy, that is biomass cook stoves, almost for 3 to 4 years. And while doing that, I was constantly involved with this development of this subsea or other technologies now which we are providing. So by end of 2019 we come up with this RUCA technologies where we are promoting this sub-sea cooler and other technologies which we have. So we don't really see this kind of job as a job actually, not us only but our parents also. So I have to have some rebellious activities and fight with my parents as well to let me go to fields and all. So they are like, okay, you are going alone to this place, that place, there is no train, you have to take bus, and from there how do you move and all. So it was kind of thrilling experience actually. So I encourage all the women who are trying to do something different, or taking these opportunities as their bread and butter or livelihood options, so they can actually try it out and go according to their mind what they have to do. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Shirayu. Indeed, it is quite challenging. I mean, imagine a 7-hour long bus journey and no public facilities. And it's quite challenging to be in the rural areas, especially as a woman. Now, I have already got a signal that we need to wrap up soon. Maybe so one final round of interventions from some of you. And I'm turning to Simi again. Simi, you have already given some, so to say, mantras that what enterprises or these technology solutions need to focus on when it comes to making them scalable. They need to pay for themselves. I think that I would take as one mantra. But if there is anything else that you would like to share with this community which can help bring more financing to the space, that would be great to hear.
Sure, Abhishek. So I think I can probably give you the perspective of what the enterprises should focus on, right? Because unlike Sharyu, who has a far more challenging job, most of my work is working with enterprises who are implementing these solutions and finding ways to finance them either directly or finding ways to finance their beneficiaries and customers, right? So I think it's really a three-step problem, right? So one, the enterprise itself needs to find the right business models, right? So they need to find the right capital, and there's a place for people like Vishwaroop who do the initial catalytic job, because pilots need subsidies, pilots need policy support, and pilots need that viability gap funding, right? But I think there's also a need for them to then look beyond, we are a social enterprise, to basically you're an enterprise. And I think one thing that they will realize, and I think a lot of us have realized, is that while impact investors do invest in impact, they're also looking for market returns. So I think when we look for companies that we support, we look for companies who are building solid unit economics, solid business models, in addition to the impact, right? So I think that's step number one. I think step number two, when you go into the field to sell these, there are many things you need to do as an enterprise, right? It's not just selling a sub-sea cooler or selling, a silk weaving machine or reeling machine and walking away. It's about how do you build the network of funders who are going to fund these farmers or these women as they buy these machinery. It's about, for example, when we fund these machineries, one question we ask is, if tomorrow these women farmers can't sustain them, is the default, who will buy back that machinery? And I think especially when it comes to asset financing, things like, is there a resale market for these assets? How do you redeploy these assets? I think thinking about yourself not just as a machinery manufacturer, but thinking about yourself as somebody who's changing the way these villages live, operate, make their living, and what different elements need to exist for that. I think that's where the most successful businesses, at least we have supported, have focused on.
Great, thank you, Simi. While you said you will share inputs for enterprises, I think you did share input for donors as well, like what do they need to do more? But let me actually ask Biswaroop on that note that what would you like to see more happening in this space? And of course, this room full of livelihood sector stakeholders, what would be your wish list, so to say? What would you more like to see in this sector happening?
No, I'd just like to highlight the role of partnership here, because I think, nobody, because the solutions the problems that we are wanting to tackle is so big and so huge. you really need people to join forces in here. So I think very important, because we are delving on technologies, and we are probably talking about how technologies are beneficial to the end users and helping them improve their incomes and livelihood, and while benefiting the climate as well. But my strong sense is only technologies are not going to solve the problem, because had it been able to solve the problem wouldn't have existed now. So you really need to build on partnership, because I see energy sector, livelihood sector, these two sectors are not should not be standing in isolation. There should be more of a dialogue happening between these two sectors, because what you are talking from the energy perspective is relevant for people who are working to improve on the livelihoods of the people. Because what I have seen from clear examples, like these machineries or equipments that you are talking, right, and you have seen the impact in terms of improving the incomes of the people, which stands in the range of 25 to 30%, 25 to 35K per year. But imagine somebody who is doing the market linkage. Imagine somebody who is already supporting these smallholder farmers in providing these making the inputs more efficient and accessible to smallholder farmers. So these benefits to my sense, will multiply manifold times, right? So that's the reason, and you need financiers, right? You need people who can finance these assets, need somebody to have this confidence on these technologies really are working, right? So these kind of multiple kind of partnerships we really need to build up very rapidly and scale it up very rapidly.
Okay, thank you. I think in many ways, we need most of the actors in this room coming together and working. In many ways, like those who are on the dais here, from enterprises to financiers to donors to policymakers, need to sort of come and work together. I would say a lot of that is already happening, but we need to do maybe a lot more. Shobhit, if you'd like to add anything before we close.
Just a final point would be that when we talk about DRE is a out-of-box business. So you have to, in every component, you have to think out of box, whether it is technology, whether it is financing or the business model. Everything has to be, there has to be a real innovative mindset to bring these things to the fore. Otherwise, we'll lose this opportunity, and at some point of time, the people will sort of, maybe they lose confidence over the things if they don't get, because in the age of consumerism, you have to work innovatively and work fast. So that are the two things I think we'll have to work on. Thank you.
All right. On that note, work together, work innovatively, and work fast. Let's wrap this up, and we hope that we'll work together. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for a great session.
Enriching discussion. You could please come forward for a photograph. Yeah. Thank you. Well, the session highlighted what needs to be done, examples of actually how it can be done and scaled up, and lastly, why it makes business sense to bring clean energy solutions to livelihood. So I hope everybody has a food for thought and, can have conversations about it later. We do not have time to break for tea. What we can do is we can go and grab our tea and coffee and move on to the next sessions. There is a session in Desire Hall that's happening right now on digitization of agriculture. It is about to begin, so maybe we can move to Desire Hall. This hall will be split again into two for tracks A and B. So if anybody has their belongings, the furniture is going to be rearranged, so please grab it. And yeah, so thank you so much for being patient with us, and see you for the next sessions.